Hey, this is Mark Henry, author of Dancing with Energy, Healing, Magic, and Mysticism. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I haven't mentioned before, is the purpose and attraction of Lucifer in the occult. Lucifer is becoming more popular as a magical figure. He never went away, but it seems that lately he is becoming more fashionable. It could be because of the television show that has become all the rage, but figured this is a perfect time to talk about him. So, who exactly is Lucifer? He was originally noted in Roman mythology, his name meaning light bearer or morning star. He was associated with the planet of Venus. And it's mentioned in Roman mythology about the how Lucifer varies in the sky, meaning that there's a rise and fall of Venus, which symbolically and mythologically later, um, becomes the the rise and fall of the angels. However, we look at Roman mythology as something that Lucifer is noted for. We also see Lucifer in very briefly and mentioned at least in parts of the Old and New Testament. Talks about that Lucifer being an exalted angel in heaven, with whom engaged in the sin of pride. And the Bible doesn't say too much about what the disagreement was about. However, there was a disagreement between him and God and the divine plan, and he and a third of the angels were cast out of heaven, and thus Lucifer's fall. Now, there are still some scholarly debate and even debate among magicians and occultists about the different figures of Lucifer and Satan and the serpent and all of these types of things. Uh, so there's no absolute consensus. However, what I've mostly see as people who've been doing magic and for a long while is that they see that the Lucifer and Satan are different expressions of the same basic archetype or same basic being. That it's almost like if you were to think if you were Catholic, Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, that it is different but essentially the same. Or if you don't like that particular analogy, I like to think of that as if you were a Star Wars fan and you were looking at the prequels. Anakin, who was very rebellious and who was very much into doing his own thing, but still adhering to the principles of the Jedi as he was learning about them. And then there was a point where he crossed over and did some dangerous things, some destructive things, and thus became Darth Vader. So Lucifer as a being wasn't exactly evil, although he gets lumped into all of that. Satan is the one that usually is the point of focus for a lot of the projection of evil. But we won't really get too much into that. So when we're talking about Lucifer, you can think of him as just a rebellious figure, someone who disagreed with the way things were going and chose a different path. And I'm sure all of us at some point could identify with that. So why, now knowing all of that, why engage in magic and veneration of Lucifer as some people do? Well, Lucifer, for many Luciferians, point to a freedom, to independence, so if you ever felt that conditions and people were holding you back and you could not break free, like almost like you were feeling like you were being chained by situations and conditions, then that is Lucifer's forte. That is something that he can identify with. We call this type of work the breaking free and through all of these things as road opening. So that's one of the magical purposes of Lucifer. Lucifer is also associated with the air, element of air in the east, light bearer, light. He shines in the darkness. He lights a path before you if you are not sure what that path is. So in Magick, we call that wayfinding. So he can be used as a road opener and wayfinding. So also he is known for, because of the light, being able to bestow knowledge and even enlightenment. There is an intellectual element to him that is very powerful and very strong. If you look at the book of Enoch and some of the apocryphal books, when the angels fell, they went to earth and they brought different things to humans. They brought cosmetics for women. They brought tools of war. They brought science, various things like that. And Lucifer in himself brought, that idea of knowledge and enlightenment. Taking what was in heaven and bringing it to earth to make it so that things can be more, things that can be used in service of human who were born from matter. Other uses that people find for Lucifer is to do healing work, to do shadow work, to work with the darkness, to illuminate that darkness, not necessarily to get rid of it, but to able to examine it and to learn from it. Shadow work is really, really important in healing work, to understand our own darkness so that we don't project it onto other and make everybody seem evil. Because a lot of times it's the projection of what we ourselves have deep within us, that we're somehow shining on other people, and a lot of times that is the the psychological aspect of racism and sexism and various other types of negative viewpoints surrounding around people. Now, lest you say, okay, but Lucifer is evil and all these types of things. If some people identify with the spirit of Lucifer, maybe not even in practicing the magic associated with Lucifer, if you were somebody who was an entrepreneur, who started from nothing, who was in poverty, and somehow scratched and clawed their way up and didn't listen to what other people said about why they were going to fail, and somehow you did it and you found a way, that is very Luciferian. If you were somebody who was an innovator, who was creative, and who even produced some type of work of art or something meaningful, and people told you couldn't do it, but you persisted, and you didn't listen, you said, I'm not going to conform with other people's expectations, that is the spirit of Lucifer. So while you may not be practicing Luciferianism, that is a connection to that type of archetype. Also, the opposite. So if you were somebody who was, let's say, worked for the government, a lot of bureaucratic red tape, kind of did do what you're told, felt kind of binded, that would probably be the opposite. That would be more like, I guess, if you think of the Jehovian mandates of having to follow certain rules and follow certain recommendations, and you did it because you're there to serve and you're there to do what you're told. So that would be more like the angelic kind of idea. But the fallen angels, like Lucifer, had a different idea than that. So anyway, I just want to kind of give a quick rundown in case you all were wondering, what is this and why do people tend to gravitate toward it? I wanted to provide a little bit of insight. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying the cooler weather down south. We definitely are, because it was getting really hot. So please subscribe and like. I'll put some links to descriptions of various things that we're doing. So I hope to see you in a future video.